Hello. This workshop is being held on the lands of the Wurundjeri people, and I wish to acknowledge them as the traditional owners. I would also like to pay my respects to their elders, past and present. We'd also like to thank the VCA for hosting us tonight and providing this venue. The Royal Exchange and PWA, or Playwriting Australia, invited me to take this workshop, and it's called Lovely, Lovely, Sometimes Ugly Dialogue, as a potential assistance to any playwright out there or in here to submit their unproduced play for the Bruntwood Award. I hope it's useful in some way. About myself. So my name is Patricia Cornelius. I've written about 35 plays. I'm the co-founder of a company that no longer exists, but was called Melbourne Workers Theatre, and it existed for a good deal of time, 25 years. I mostly write for the independent sector. I'm a very recent recipient of 2 awards, the Green Room Lifetime Achievement Award and the Wyndham Campbell Literature Prize, which have put an almighty spring in my step. But I'm not going to be walking around this evening, so you won't know it. I want to introduce the playwrights that are here with me tonight, or allow them to introduce themselves. And I'd like you just to actually give your name in full and to name the title of the play that you're working on. This is in the hope that one day you'll either read that play or see it performed somewhere. So Sam, will we start with you?
Sure. My name is Samantha Hill. A play that I'm working on at the moment is, it's in progress, but it's probably going to be called The Overview Effect.
Hi, I'm Christopher Harley. A play I'm working on at the moment is called Shotgun Love.
Hi, my name is Marcus Mackenzie. A play that I'm working on at the moment is Subliminal Massage.
Hi, I'm Josh. Joshua Allen, and the play I'm working on is called 3 Hours Ahead.
I'm Virginia Proud, and I'm working on a play called The Island of Consent.
I'm Kirsty Marillier, and the play I'm working on is called Orange Thrower.
I'm Jamila Main, and I'm working on Butterfly Kicks.
I'm Dylan Vandenberg, and my play is called Milk.
I'm Liv Satchel, and the play I'm working on is Let Bleeding Girls Lie.
Fabulous titles. Really going to write them down. Steal them. I'm going to apologise up front about me reading, but I'm kind of too anxious not to. So I can't bear the idea that I might not say something that I might have forgotten, something that's terribly important. Get home tonight and think, oh my God, I left out some really basic things. But I'm going to begin this workshop talking, ironically, about monologues. So yes, it is a workshop on dialogue, but I'm going to talk about monologues because I love a monologue. They're fabulous. And I'm not talking about a kind of dramatic monologue, a monologue that is a full-length play that oh my God, takes all the craft in the world to sustain, and often a great deal of effect and atmosphere and place and lighting, because a whole hour or hour and a half or more of a one-person play is an incredible ask of both an audience and of an actor, and also of a playwright. You have to use every. I think some people think it's an easy option, but you have to use every bit of your craft to be able to keep that lively and to keep it varied and to keep an audience engaged. But I am going to talk about how a good monologue can nail the heart of the matter of a play, can have us compelled, can take us into the innermost workings of a character's mind, can confound us because we are eavesdropping sometimes on a character's innermost secret thoughts. A monologue can allow a character to step outside the play and talk directly to us, or just talk, comment on things, remember back to things, and then remember to return to the narrative. It's sort of odd conceit, because sometimes I've been asked, who are they talking to? And often you have some playwrights and they use a monologue in terms of a direct address. So they're definitely addressing the audience, they're engaging with them, they're talking with them, the lights might even come up for them to see them. But I'm not so keen on the direct address, because in a sense I quite like to stay within the world of the play, and I think sometimes direct address takes us out. And also it kind of sometimes just is too tempting to be able to kind of spill your guts about too much information that you're telling an audience, you're acknowledging them, you're letting them in. Though Shakespeare would tell me I'm a fool. But there is something extraordinary about watching an actor just be able to talk. And we can't do it in television, we can't do it in film, and without it seemingly peculiarly pretentious. But just we allow them. They just can talk. They're going to talk, and they might talk in front of other actors, and those actors are occupied elsewhere imaginatively. So we are allowed in, and we can watch them just kind of work something out or comment on how they're feeling within it. And it's such a delight. Wonderful things are monologues. When they're not so wonderful is when they're kind of platitudinous, or we're getting lectured, or we're being told what to think, or we're being told what's going on. And sometimes I think monologues are kind of lazy, and especially when they're in that direct address stuff. They're jumping the gun. They're kind of not working out theatrical means to be able to tell that story. They're just basically telling, a bit of a cheat. But worse, they can also bore us to death. Really tedious. I know about the boring to death because I did it a real lot as a beginning of a new and fledgling playwright, and I didn't take to dialogue. I sort of had great big, huge sort of statements to make from a number of almost any character that I could get to talk would be talking in great slabs on the page. So if you really, my plays initially resembled a whole slab of dialogue, and then maybe with a little kind of tiny little thing that might join them, someone going, "Oh, really?" Or, "Can you tell me more?" Or, not quite so bad, but nearly as bad as that, where you think, "Oh my God, I don't want to be dealing with dialogue. I've got so much that comes out, that's pouring in the ideas," and to kind of break it up in the dialogue, or gave it a kind of naturalism that I wasn't interested in. But it was also an anxiety about the kind of dialogue that I wanted to, or that I had at hand. I didn't have the craft for a long time. It took me quite some time to develop it. Other people work the other way around, and you are really fine and quick with the spilling of language and the interplay between characters. But it did take me quite some time. And I think I'm bringing it up because I think that it's not an uncommon kind of complaint in playwriting. That what I see when I read a lot of new work, I go, "Oh my God, they got the monologue disease like me." They can and they try to cheat it a little bit more cleverly than I described. But they are really, they're just slabs upon slabs of sometimes confessional, sometimes really, it doesn't really matter how good the monologue is. Can a play sustain that number of monologues or how many monologues, who knows, but you have to be bloody fine with them. And there's something even heavy on the page when you look at it, that there is something, the interactive or liveliness on the page is sort of diminished. I do have to admit, I just did write a play last year that was at the Adelaide Festival with the State Theatre there, and it had the most enormous started off with 3 enormous monologues, huge bloody things. So I kind of am able to contradict myself on some of those things. But they were so wonderful. And then I paid my due by with the rest of the play. Well, and had the vibrancy of the dialogue afterwards. Because if you can, that's the thing about talking about playwriting. You go to a play and people win things that you don't think they should be able to. And you sort of go, oh shit, like they break the rule and then they can, so as I'm saying, it's a bit heavy on the page and a bit heavy, and an ask of an audience, an ask of actors to kind of nail them, and ask of oneself as a playwright to find to do a number of monologues that hit the mark so beautifully. But if you can do it, you can do it. Also, the most interesting thing in those days when I kind of knew that there was some sort of kind of heavy cheat in this monologue obsession was that I kind of developed first of all, in the first draft, I would write the monologue that came to me readily, and it felt like it belonged to one voice. It felt like it belonged to this particular character. More and more I learned actually it was me trying to disguise the authorial voice, that I was in there way too much. But despite that, also the technique I used was I felt like I could break that monologue down. I didn't have to lose it. I could share it. That the ideas could be shared among other characters, that there was a kind of invitation there for interaction, an invitation to question some of the ideas in that monologue, and a way into it that could break it down, that could interrupt it and find a life force in it. Because when dialogue works, it is so splendid, just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And I sort of, there's a little bit of a lament but I think for a period of time, and I think it's shifted, but for a while there, in Melbourne and in the theatre industry that I was engaged in, there was a kind of turning your back against dialogue. It was as if it was banal, as if it was just equated with a kind of a television style dialogue, and there was a tendency, not so much for great big monologues, but kind of snatches of abstracted thoughts that were in place of a real interaction of character, the talking character, and rather than it was almost the same thing as a kind of delivery to an audience that was quite disconnected, so that each person might have pieces of it, but that it almost didn't have this sort of substance. I would go to those plays and I would always feel a bit like stupid, because I couldn't kind of hold them. And the language was not necessarily not beautiful, it was sometimes poetic, it was sometimes feisty, but the kind of ideas and the actual weight of it would lift from me. And I couldn't sustain it after I left. So it was almost while I was in it, I was going, okay, I can stick with this. This isn't your usual fare. I'm not hearing from somebody with a distinct voice. I'm hearing a kind of abstracted sort of text. Sometimes that can work, but for a whole play, I found that it left me confused and not holding on to it. I don't know whether that's because I prefer or am stuck on a kind of old notion of narrative, and perhaps I am. But the narrative used to feel swallowed up by that kind of performance. Is that too obscure, or are people knowing what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
With dialogue, though, sometimes I think when I start a work, and I kind of have a great sense of what it might be, and then what happens is I think, how in the fuck am I going to get them to talk? And how without it being cringeworthy? How do you start chatter? How do you kind of sort of talking? What are they going to talk about? And how can I get a win of vibrancy in the voices? How can I find a way that it looks natural, that it feels not a setup? Or so let's talk. The first words the characters say are, "I've been abused for a really long, almost all my life." You're fucked, because you kind of how not to be earnest, how to kind of honestly be using a seduction all the time, and I'm going to seduce you into actually talking about something that might be really hard, might be really grueling and heavy, which everybody hates, supposedly. It's called drama, but never mind. We sort of want to engage people in being able to go into deep matter, go into dark places, go into bizarre places of the imagination, and to allow people to take us. But they have to be so seductive, those characters, how they talk. If you let on that what you're about in the first couple of pages, let alone the first words, if you kind of, if people go, "Oh no, it's not another play about incest," or as soon as there's nothing wrong with looking at incest or examining abuse or whatever, but if you give one, if I smell it, I'm already going, I'm over this, I'm over it, and I already can predict what's going to happen. So the kind of use of seduction is delightful. I sort of think sometimes, dialogue's sort of curious, and I've got to have a little pick on the mainstream for a minute. So how the other thing that can turn me off is sort of a declamatory style dialogue, or partly it's in the delivery, but actually it's also in the writing, where there's some kind of going, "Oh, hello!" Or they start to talk really strangely across big spaces, and you sort of go, and oh my God, who talks like that? And it's not a kind of quest from me to actually necessarily capture exactly how people speak, but to kind of find a way that has at least the semblance of some reality, rather than this arch kind of way, a kind of polite form of it, a warning against it. Another sort of dialogue that I was really addicted to when I was a younger playwright, and I think is I think that Sarah Kane uses it to a point, but I think of a play by Ted Hughes, who's first and foremost, I think, a poet, right? but who did an adaptation of Seneca's Oedipus, and it's a kind of you're using the choral form, the Greek chorus, and in a really very contemporary way, but it sort of had, I loved all the language. I loved always blood, more blood and blood, and this kind of extraordinarily visceral, heavy and profound statements about the world and how it's collapsing in on itself, or how, about fate. But I loved it. I loved it. But to sustain it in a contemporary way, and as Sarah Kane can, and Blasted in particular, you go, that's quite difficult, that kind of heavy, poetic, rhythmic, and kind of almost turgid sort of into those worlds. But there is still something that you want to grab bits of it, the dare, risk to go there, to go that dark and that florid, if you like. I go, how can I escape the mundane, as if they're on television? How do I not get stuck in meaningless chatter, but at the same time avoid the obvious connection to theme, get them to talk but not tell? How do I set them up so that their talk seems natural? How do I get them to talk in an engaging way, funny, witty, surprising, and leak stuff out that I really want to talk about? But crap talk can be surprisingly useful. Chatter that appears on the surface to be not about much, but can reveal sometimes shocking, sometimes extraordinary stuff. It can sneak up on an audience and ambush them. Pretty exciting. I think I just talk about a play I wrote about 14 years ago called Love. And Tanya is talking to her girlfriend Annie about how to keep her social worker happy. So she tells her how many times she's been fucked by her father, by her stepfather, by her uncles or brothers, and she tells it matter of fact as it is. And the ordinariness of her talk makes it more shocking, more heartbreaking, and whereas a more confessional or emotional reveal seems irksome, too contrived. So there's this sort of lovely thing that you can do where you can escape kind of that confessional mode, or the poignant moment, the kind of, I'm going to tell you something really important here, really. And already there's a kind of, unfortunately, a turn-off, kind of been there, done it, and to find a way that can surprise you again is sometimes by burying it within a whole other world of talking about footy, talking about crap, talking about the size of the dress that you want, that you have to get down to before you can buy the dress that you want, talking about anything but, and how one can leak into those conversations, things that seem accidental and that the audience picks up. So you can enjoy those moments. You can be as silly and as daffy or pure entertainment to the point where people are, I like to stretch it to the point where you're going, what the fuck is this about? This is your dribble and drivel, and that there is no core to it, heart to it, but just the occasional dropping of it, of the things that seem incidental to the characters and are not confessional, but what a delight they can be. The thing about dialogue is how vibrant it can be, how like the best of conversation, it can be full of wit and profanity and marvel and spite and cruelty and sweetness. It can go off on tangents, as conversation so often does. It can lose itself, forget what it was wanting to say, as conversation often does. It can interrupt, overlap, be spoken at the same time. It can contradict, be rude, be argumentative or celebratory. It can be delightfully repetitive. I love all that stuff, you know, hey, 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 all the same, how are you, how are you, how are you? You know, nobody has to answer necessarily, move, you know, that gorgeous thing that has a dynamic. And it's just about moving fast on the page, getting everybody in there, not waiting your turn. Kind of introducing the character in an obviously meaningful way, getting them in there, chatting, talking, over talking there on each other, interrupting. Can have great rhythm. It can also be inarticulate, grappling with words that don't come easy, grappling with the ideas, with the world. It's not all sewn up, doesn't always have clarity. It does kind of still amaze me how formal the language of so many plays are. And you sort of listen, and maybe it's something to do with that declamatory style too, but where you think it's so polite, and it's as if, you know, your turn, my turn, no, your turn, and my turn. Oh, I forgot about you, but it'd be your turn. And so each character is given space to speak. Each character is incredibly grammatically correct. I love it that in a play like this, the grammar shit, you can kind of, you're absolutely not worry about it because we're not that great when we speak. It's about, dialogue's about speaking and about hearing how actually people speak, how poor sometimes we can be in grappling with something a character wants, or something a character desires, but they don't know what it is, they don't have a clue how to articulate it, but there's something about the world that they're craving, something they're looking for. You know, I would really like a really lovely home, and I'd really like a lovely dog. No, they don't know what they want. They're kind of the seeking, the grappling to find what it is that you're looking for, or what's wrong. Why are you angry with me? I'm really angry with you because one, you do this, or one, two. No, you don't know why I'm angry with you. I don't know why. I'm just angry with you. How you kind of, the kind of things that we all identify when say, like just fuck off, rather than I'm angry because, you fuck off. You fuck off. You've got the repetition of kind of feeling like you're under attack because someone wants to know how you feel. Those things are kind of so identifiable to us all the time about how we speak, as much as sometimes as silence can be really identifiable and have its own eloquence, but I'll talk about that later. I'm going to just set up this exercise and I'll get you to just make notes just because so then you've got it. And it's not long, but I've called it tripping along the page. I don't want you to go for meaning, not sort of looking for deep stuff. I just sort of actually am interested in you being really playful with the text and not worrying about character. And it's about a liveliness on the page. And you've got 4 characters. You've got 5 minutes. And the 4 characters talking, I don't want you to name them. I just want you to do a dash at the front. I don't care who they are. We're not concerned about that. So it's just a whole lot of voices. And it's a quick, short burst of dialogue. 1 word, a phrase, a sentence, but no more than 1, and no longer than the line. So not a great, don't give me great little sentence. So, and I don't want you to stop writing. And it's like non-stop chatter when until the 5 minutes are up. Just before we start the exercises, so shall I just give you the elements of that again?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes. What was the
All right.
word phrase thing? I missed that.
It's tripping along the page.
Yes.
And along on the page. And it's 5 minutes and 4 characters talking. No character names, no, just a dash. A quick, short burst of dialogue. 1 word, a phrase, a sentence, but no longer than a line. Interruptions galore. Don't stop writing. Non-stop chatter until the 5 minutes are up. Playful. But I think I would like to just give you 1 minute, just to close your eyes before you start writing, and to kind of imagine where you're going to have your 4 characters. And I just want to say they're not in a lounge room. And but you've got 4 characters, and just have a minute. Take a minute now to imagine the place that they're going to be together at, where they are. Okay, and let's go. 5 minutes, non-stop writing. Okay, let's just stop. It'd be great just to hear a couple, and let's go Jamila, and then Christopher, you. And just to get an idea how you went. Don't worry about differentiating voices for characters, but just we'll get the sense of what the voices are.
Sure. Did you get it? Hey, good to see. Did I get yes? Sorry. Hello, love. Hi, 1 sec. Yes? Yes? Yes. Yes, you got it. What? You said you got it. No, I didn't. So you haven't got it? That's not what I said. Have you seen the view? Have you got it or no? It's lovely. If you haven't got it, I'll go get it. Got what? No, I thought you were getting it. You can see the surf from here. Really? Why did you think that? It's what you implied. I implied. Is that rain? I don't think I implied. I don't think so. Just cloud cover. Anything. I'm a very direct speaker. Well, whatever you said, I speak directly. You do. I've noticed. Anyone want a drink? It made me believe you were picking it up. Well, I didn't. Neither did I.
Great, great. Really lively. I love the yes. It's sort of the patterns that emerge are really gorgeous. Christopher?
Sure. Where? Down there. Where? There. Oh, to be fair, what? Well, it could have been anywhere. Just put it down. Here? Guys, sorry. Anything else? In the car, I think. Hello? Hi. 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 Hello? Hi. What are you doing? Jordan, who is she? How am I supposed to know? Can I help you? You can't put that there. That's what I said, Sam. Who is she? How are you? Can we help you? Pick it back up. Sorry, we're moving in here. Here? Yeah, here is our house. Like fuck it is. That's what I got up to.
It's sort of really fun, isn't it? Even though you don't kind of know where you're going, that sort of narrative starts to guide you, or you can go on tangents for a while. Let's just do one more, because two is irresistible. So has anybody you want to do it? Good.
That's so fucked. I know. Did she say anything else? No. Are you sure this is what she meant? Can you move? Hold on. Yeah. So what did she actually say? She just told you. Yeah, but she might remember an extra detail. This isn't CSI, you noob. Fuck off. I'm done here. Well, just wait then. Come on, tell us again what she said. You're training to be a cop or something. Wait, what? Are you? What's happened? She's going to be a pig. I am not. Why'd you pause then? I was out of breath from your one sit-up. Fuck off. Blood pressure. Since when did you decide you're going to be a cop? Yeah, how has that not come up before? Because this is what? This is how you get. So you are. No, fuck. It shouldn't matter.
Great. Thank you. Let's go on. The other, or last week, I went to see Miller's A View from a Bridge at the Melbourne Theatre Company production. And what was really delightful, I love the play anyway, but you never know what somebody might do to a play you love. But what they did was the designer chose just one chair, and so that there was absolutely nothing else apart from some definition through lighting, and I think there was a stairwell, because I was quite close. I didn't get to see the whole scope of this set, but the set basically was a chair, one chair, and a daring move, really daring move, but so delightful that you, because in a sense, you're opening up that play to absolute great a study of it from an audience, because it's only the actors and the play itself that are transporting us. The chair is not doing much, and though they used it very beautifully, and they used the space and the lights very beautifully, there is nothing encumbering it. There is nothing that the actors can't use within the space to explore the ideas of the play, or their bodies in the space are paramount. No sofas to sit on, no kind of tables to be around and be sedentary, no kind of sitting getting stuck. No, amazingly, where you go to plays when you think, where the fuck are the actors going to move? How are they going to move? Well, I get it. You don't want them to. That's not the design. They're to sit there. And so certainly, some plays are talking head plays. There's no doubt about them. And who cares what we see? What we hear is dynamic and fabulous. But often there's such a kind of misuse of actors in a way that you feel, my God, these people work all their young lives or older lives or whenever, are constantly honing their skills to be able to use their bodies in the space. It's like an old idea now, where the body of the actor is just such a miraculous and imaginative and wonderful source that it can take us in its twitching and in its movement, in the development of seeing it in the way it holds itself within a space. But if you don't give it space, then or you give it the set of a television production or a detective show on some bloody telly thing, you kind of forget that what they can do with it, how they can fill it, how glorious actors are, and courageous. But this production really highlighted, oh my God, this play sings. Well, it still sings because it's about refugees, and so there's amazing resonance in it, contemporary resonance in it. But it's so beautifully written and so lilting and rhythmic, and it explores the most extraordinary things, where the woman is talking about why her husband is not coming on to her anymore, why they're not fucking. Well, this is written in the 50s, and she's asking him, what's going on? What's happening? And you sort of like think, oh my God, we are got so backward even about talking about a kind of desire, female desire, that Miller's talking about in the 50s, and we kind of shy away from. But what One Chair did was expose the language of the play. That's all the actors had to rely on, apart from their own very fine skills. But just the language. And it is a glorious risk. And kind of sometimes the plays that you see, and the effects are fabulous. Just what got a lot of money, use a lot of money, and got a lot of lighting, got a lot of set, too much set, and some of those plays, image-based works, are delightful. There's not. I'm kind of not damning them. Yes, I am. I'm kind of talking about us as playwrights. I'm talking about us with word, and certainly we conjure up images, and certainly we make people move in a space, and we have objects. But when a play is laboured down by fiddly props that don't kind of take you anywhere, or actors having to kind of worry about where things are, or kind of the dither and the crap that you just want to clear the decks. It was a gorgeous example to see a work that is decades old, that still has its vibrancy, that the actors can make live because the language is so alive. About I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, I'm not great with time, but I went and saw a Melbourne festival production of The Hairy Ape, and it was the Worcester group, and they'd come to town and someone had brought out the Hairy Ape. In fact, Willem Dafoe played Yank, who's the central character in the play. It's a play. I saw the play, and I just made this assumption that they'd done an adaptation on it. I felt like it was so contemporary and so kind of experimental and wonderful, and that I rushed home and I bought a copy because I'd never read it, and at an op shop or a second-hand shop, and I read it, and it was word for word, and it's exactly what O'Neill had envisaged, and it's a play that is truly delightful. But I want to just read a little bit of it from the very scene one, and because he calls voices, just voices. And it's set in the bows of a steamship, and it's an all-male world, and but he says, and forgive my accents, and because they're not going to be good, but he writes in giving you hints, like kiss me drink, there you have a wet, salute, gesundheit, skål. Drunk as a lord, God stiffen you, here's how luck. Pass back that bottle, damn ya, pour it down his neck. Ho, Froggy, where the devil you been? Like to rain, I hit his smashing your jaw by cot. Jenkins, the first, is a rotten swine, and the old coppers nabbed him, and I like Pierre better. He don't pig-head you give ya. A slut, I'm saying, she robbed me slave. To hell with all of them. You're a bloody liar. Say that again. No scrapping now. Tonight. So who's the best man? Bloody Dutchman. Tonight on the forward square. I'll bet on Dutchy he packed a wallop, I tell ya. Shut up, wop. No fighting, mateys. We're all chums, aren't we? Beer! Beer, glorious beer. Fill yourselves right up here. And then Yank comes in, and then the voices come back in, and then he feeds in Paddy, and he feeds in, so out of that chorus he'll pull the particular actors. So it's not like that chorus does have one voice, it has distinct voices, it has distinct ethnicities, has distinct cheers, gesundheit, all the different kind of salute, and it's kind of, I don't quite do it justice, but I still hope that you got the sense. But there's this gorgeous cacophony of voices and of the dynamics of betting and the dynamics of drinking, of men hard at work, and then out come the particular characters. So we hear from Paddy, and we'll hear from Yank a lot. And we'll hear from, so that he milks those, he gives you a taste in the sort of choral setup, but then milks them more and more so that they're pulled out and we learn more of them. I'm going to do a little diversion from dialogue to talk about, I don't know if you've read a lot of O'Neill, but he has extraordinary directions, and they're very detailed, from a bird flying over sometimes. It's very, very particular, and you sort of go, I'm very minimal with directions, but I admire him and how he's really conjuring up a world. And this is the world that the fireman's forecastle of a transatlantic liner an hour after sailing from New York for the voyage across. Tiers of narrow steel bunks, 3 deep on all sides, an entrance in rear. Benches on the floor before the bunks. The room is crowded with men shouting, cursing, laughing, singing. A confused, incoherent uproar swelling into a sort of unity, a meaning, the bewildered, furious, baffled defiance of the beast in a cage. Nearly all the men are drunk. Many bottles are passed from hand to hand. All are dressed in dungaree trousers and heavy, ugly shoes. Some wear vests, but the majority are stripped to the waist. The treatment of this scene, or any other scene in the play, should by no means be naturalistic. The effect sought after is a cramped space in the bows of a ship, imprisoned by white steel. The lines of bunks, the uprights supporting them, cross each other like the steel framework of a cage. The ceiling crushes down upon the men's heads. They cannot stand upright. This accentuates the natural stooping posture, which shoveling coal and the resultant overdevelopment of back and shoulders muscles have given them. The men themselves should resemble those pictures in which the appearance of Neanderthal man is guessed at. All are hairy-chested, with long arms of tremendous power and low receding brows above their small, fierce, resentful eyes. All the civilised white races are represented, but except for the slight differentiation in colour of hair, skin, eyes, all these men are alike. So much for it when you get the casting. But the idea and the vision of men unable to stand up in the space, so that he forces the kind of the look of the ape, the Neanderthal. He's forcing a sense of a creature of the past, uncivilized, animal-like, and that they're all white, that they're sort of a kind of notion of men dirtied by soot, but they're white. And there's the whole play is about this pride of themselves in a workforce that was totally segregated, that was only for white men. And so he's making a great commentary, not just about class, but also about race. And he's making the set something that they have to deal with. I mean, I almost think that we would be so pathetic here in the mainstream about not allowing actors to be able to stand upright. You know, it's a health and safety issue. But there is something so gorgeous about kind of envisaging your world to say so much about it. And especially because when you think about plays, so rarely do we talk about the workplace. So rarely are scenes in a workplace. You have some really great American plays that do, but rarely, mostly we're at home or out, where it may be, but it is such a kind of weird, forgotten notion that most of us work, that most of us are under the thumb of the boss, are reeking out livings. All those things, it's as if it's not highbrow enough for the theatre, but we kind of avoid them. Enough of that. There's a way of showing how a character is participating in the conversation but is not actually saying something. The playwright puts the character's name, and this is a new thing for me, that I've just learnt it, but they might have been around for a long time, puts the character's name and leaves the response empty. Works well, I think, to indicate that the character lacks a verbal response but is still engaged in the conversation. I don't think it's a cheat on the monologue. You never know. Instead, I use pause or silence a lot. There's a great eloquence in those simple directions, in what's not said, in allowing time between responses, sometimes for emphasis or time for an audience to catch up. And like anything, they can be done to death and slow down a work or preempt how an audience is meant to respond. So as much as I say I use them a lot, I try to use them really, really well, because I have been to works where I think, what the fuck's going on here? And they're taking deliberate long pauses. And I start to think, oh my God, is that hurry up, because there's something pretentious about it, and kind of I've got it. You're over signalling, but when it's used well and sparingly, so sometimes you're writing something and you think, I want that to kind of, I want it to sit. I want it to not get passed over with a whole lot of chatter. I want that to be heard, and so you can maybe use them there. And sometimes silence is a way too long. But anyway, I want to talk about the next exercise, and I've just called it bleeding in story, and I've it might be a little prescriptive, this, but it's sort of an exercise to use silence, and just to take some notes so you kind of know what you're up. You've got 10 minutes. You've got 4 characters again, and I kind of want you to make a choice for all male or all female, just to kind of see if there's something in that, in the kind of gender heavy or the gender only thing. And these 4 characters meet outside a club, and it's a reunion of sorts. The last time they saw each other, a while back, was a disaster. I don't know what the nature of that disaster was, but something went down that was unpleasant. This is the shape. I'm giving you the shape. They greet one another. Silence. They go again with pleasantries. Silence. Another and final, more difficult go at pleasantries. Silence. Is that clear? Yeah? And
Can I ask one question?
yeah, sure.
Is it the first time all 4 have seen each one in the one space before?
Yeah.
Okay. But
Yeah, nobody's seen
each
the
other.
other at all.
Okay, cool.
So it's just a major
You might,
coincidence.
if you did your next draft, you might have the 2 who have seen each other, but
Sure,
but
but
just
all
for this
4 in each
exercise.
coincidence.
Yeah. So since the last time they were together or saw each other at all was when something unpleasant went down. You don't have to write what their unpleasantness is particularly. You can allude to it. In fact, they would prefer you just to allude to it, rather than if you want to at all. But rather than you don't have to come up with some nifty explanation for what went down, if you know what I mean.
But they've chosen to see each other.
Yeah.
Oh, they're trying.
Oh, so it's not a coincidence.
No,
Yeah, I
sorry.
thought it was a
No,
coincidence.
it's not
Gotcha.
accidental. They've enough time's passed and somebody's initiated that they get together again.
Cool.
Dashes or character?
No,
Character.
character. Yeah, just voices is fine.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. Okay. Let's hear a couple. So, Kylie, do you want to go first? And Marcus, do you want to go?
Yeah, I think I finished it.
So, that's all right. Wherever you got to.
Sure.
Can I just say, when you get to the silence the silences that I've imposed, let's just be silent. You be
Yep.
silent
Yep.
for
Cool.
as long as you want.
And again, I don't have to make distinctions between the characters
No,
necessarily.
no.
Yep.
No.
Zoya, hi! I'm just so glad. Yeah, I'm just so glad we could look. I am too. Just so fucking glad. Just so glad. Yes, so glad. Woo! Yeah, I'm just so much glad. Fuck, it's cold. My nipples are hard. Do you think? Should we? I don't know what time. Wait or go inside? Maybe. Wait. Yeah, maybe. It doesn't start till. I thought it was now. Well, technically, Zoya, it starts at 10:15. It's 10:15 now. No, it's 10:14. 10:14. Sorry. Don't be sorry. Did I what? Bring the. Oh shit! Wait, you didn't? I didn't. It's okay. Is it okay? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You're always sorry. Seriously, no, this time I'm just so sorry. Sorry. It's just very cold. I know, and you caught 2.5 trains to get here. I did, and I caught 3.5 trains to get here. I could just go back home. Go home real quick. Get the... Yeah, no, it's now 10:15. It starts at 10:15. We said we'd get here at 10:15 and go inside and listen to some fucking bluegrass band and have a nice time. I hate bluegrass.
That's fabulous, I think. Really, we know that there's some shit going on right from the word go, but not obviously, and just the kind of welcoming in the. What's the reiteration in the beginning that you're using a lot? The very first.
The glad.
Yeah,
and
I'm
the
glad.
sorry.
I'm so glad. You said not.
Yeah.
Really terrific. Gorgeous. Max.
Sure. Boys, lads, Smithy, Big Smith, Jums, Jummy, old turkey. Where's hey lads? Here she is, Mary, shut up, Mary, oh my God, what are you wearing, mate? Hey, Smithy, Jums, you good? Is that that a dress, mate? What part of what were you confused somehow? Dressed down? It's not a dress. It's sort of like a sack. Gonna call it what it is, mate. And that's a no dress. No, surely it's a tunic. It's a tunic. Well, I guess we won't be getting in. We'll be fine. We're fine. We just split up as per the plan. Has everybody else dropped? What? We drop inside, mate. Yeah, no, I don't want another. Please don't tell me what did you drop? I mean, yeah, fuck, James, you fucking turkey, fuck. I wouldn't. What? I mean, I wanted to kick in when I walked through the door. What if you don't get in? What if you're out here in sub-zero cooking it in the bushes for the next 8 hours? Fuck. Who's going to look after you? Running your own little operation, are you, mate? I didn't. What? I didn't. What? You didn't. I didn't drop. So, yeah, you didn't drop. Like, no, I didn't. I was just joking. Okay.
That's great. It's such fun. And it's sort of, it enlivens actors. They have to be really on the ball because you think it's simple, but that kind of a little reiteration all the time can be. How many times have you said it? How many times have you done the year? All that stuff, and how we all love them to be very accurate, of course. We've done one less fuck there than. Really terrific. Let's have one more. Do you want to do one?
One's a bit shorter. Ladies, hiya. Been waiting long? No. Hey, hi. Good to see you all. Traffic, this queue, God, it's terrible. And the queue, both, everything. You all look well, thanks. You've lost so much. Yep, Heaps? Yeah, it's great. Looking good, looking much better. Healthy. This'll be fun. So much, can't wait. Haven't been out in so long. Ages, You okay?
Great. It's I'm sort of hungry for more, really. But that sort of funny. Even I thought that about how long you can keep the silence going and how loaded those silences are. But it's all that stuff. It's interesting what we do with women and what we do with all women or all men. And sometimes some people talk about how what female playwrights should just write for females and write major characters. And I think, fuck that for a joke. I'm going to write really good characters, both male and female. It's sort of ridiculous conceit. And some men go, hands off women. Well, leave that for the women. It's something new, mate. You're not going to engage. As if there's a kind of talk or a language that we don't share. I wouldn't know how to write for women. I don't know, and there's such nonsense in it, really. But also, there is something delightful about that maybe we do talk in a particular pattern and shorthand that is about gender, as men might talk, especially not about wearing a dress, blokey blokes and all that sort of playfulness about masculinity that you can just rub your hands with delight in exploring, especially in Australia. We have a real problem with masculinity. Not that you don't know, you problems, there are other problems as well. But yeah, great, really great. And I'm going to just kind of push on and. Because there's a third exercise, and I hope that all of us get a chance to, all of you get to share some of the work. But I want to talk about sort of the favourite topic of mine, and that's the vernacular, that's swearing. And I just sort of hands up to say that I grew up swearing. I had a father who swore like a trooper, as they say, or used to say, and I learnt really quickly when you were allowed and to use it, and I knew there were sort of conditions about the use of it, but I taught most of my friends to say fuck. Totally almost went into spasms at the idea of being able to utter it. That was a long time ago. But there was something quite fabulous about my father swearing. It was very Aussie. It's really old-fashioned. It's really sexist. Sort of a barge ass is really a favourite. Camel's bum, like all sorts of really weird connections that you sort of, okay, had to get your head around slightly, But quite colourful notion of using language in a derogatory way, but often really funny, rude and funny. Most people I know swear, and Australians swear a lot. Men and women swear. It's an integral part of our language. It's powerful, sometimes hilarious, sometimes terrifying, sometimes ridiculous, childish, sometimes offensive too. Swearing, though, can be truly magnificent. On the tram or train, and someone takes off, fuck this, fuck that, fuck you, fuck off, fuck you, cunt. All that stuff is, whoa! Heads down we go, and we're kind of not looking, no eye contact, looking out the window, in the book, the glasses come down. It is like electrifying. And you've all heard it. You cross the road when someone's gone off, and with the vernacular, and a splendid and outrageous display. I love it. I also realise that there's a kind of danger in it. That I'm not going to go, hi, in the middle of it. I'm not going to sort of want to go, what are you angry about? I'm kind of going to steer clear, but it is extraordinary. A lot of people say they're offended by swear words. It shocks them, they say. They think of it as an erosion of our glorious mother tongue. They see it as inarticulate, uneducated, vulgar. They say it's lazy, it's poor usage. They say it dumbs down. I kind of get it when the string of fucks that are threaded through every sentence, when you overhear someone and they're just fuck this, fuck that, and they've kind of got no consciousness of it almost. And I kind of get it that there's a point where the lovely, not so lovely language, there's something ugly about it and a bit unrelenting, and you kind of squirm a bit at how unrelenting it can be, because it doesn't quite have the potency of the outburst. It doesn't. It's just something that's sort of moved in on the language and kind of camped there, and there's no escape from it. And I especially know that when you replicate that in plays, there is no kind of win in it. Just to hear that and then place it in a play, or to replicate it exactly, is not the best idea. And sometimes I'm quite famous for using the vernacular in plays, but we're not exactly famous, but I use it. But I sort of feel I'll edit them quite severely out. So my natural inclination is to thread them through, and then I go, nah, there's something deadening about it and a bit too slap you over the face. So I think it's like you have to use your craft, of course, on the vernacular as you do with any words. You got a way to win it. But there is definitely something about the authenticity of that language. There is something also about the power of it. The vernacular has great eloquence. It often has great humour, audacity, and touches of brilliance. It often is confrontational, frightening. It's always defiant. On the streets, in public, it is truly electrifying. It demands something. It demands attention, though most of the time it's safer not to give it. It's political, this eloquence, in its defiance, its outrage, its demand to be heard, to be seen. Someone in a fury with the world and who is telling all of us in it to go fuck ourselves. And we tremble. The use of the vernacular is a class thing. We all swear, across class we swear, but there is a strong sense about its private and public usage. There's also a sense of snobbery about the kind of swearing and whether one has control of it. There's a notion that the working class and the underclass especially swear without restraint, that they have no control of it. Perhaps that's true sometimes. But I think the offence is in the daring to vent, to be angry, to express that one has been cheated, and to express it rudely, crudely, and most plainly. Perhaps they are reminding the world that they are furious, that they feel done in, that they're ignored or forsaken. And if it's a woman swearing, she cops it big time. She's a piece of filth. She's not allowed to be that angry, that free with her words. In our theatre industry in Australia, probably in a lot of countries elsewhere, they're mostly cast our stages by white middle-class actors playing white middle-class roles in plays written by white middle-class playwrights. Some plays are brilliant and insightful and provocative, but mostly, collectively, they reinforce the idea that they reflect Australian society accurately. Yeah. This is who we are, they say. These are our concerns. These are what we yearn for. This is how we speak. This is how we perform in the world. Most of our theatres make what's called high art. I'm not sure what that is anymore. But I think it's about being about proper things, complex ideas and intellectual contemplations. It's rare and I think purposeful that we don't have ourselves reflected on our stages. In Shit, a play that I wrote, I used the vernacular in the title because it was maybe some childish element to it. A kind of a fuck you sort of element to it. But mostly, I think that I used it to describe what the three women, the three characters in the play felt about themselves. They think they're shit. But also used it as a kind of forewarning to people coming to the theatre. Don't come if you're going to be worried about a title called Shit. I don't want you. Don't go walking out because you're offended when you came to see a play called Shit. So there's a certain sort of ridiculousness in it, but a kind of just the warning to let you know. And I wanted to use, these are three underclass women who have been through the foster care system and it has done them truly badly. And they're tough and they are really mostly unlikable. And I was interested to write for them. And I knew that I had to give them an authenticity in the voice. And I knew that swearing would empower them in a way that nothing else would. That when you see those women on a tram or a train or in the street, you fucking cross the road or you get off. They're terrifying, and the language is the thing that is really the most terrifying. It's not even less likely that you get biffed. It's just the kind of onslaught of what you looking at, cunt. All the things that we know. I think it took me a good month of looking at an opening scene of where I could kind of write to the audience to talk about that use of language, and to the point where I could get my three characters to say, if you don't want to hear what we have to say, fuck off. If you don't want to hear our stories, fuck off. If you don't want to, and then gestures. So but at the same time, I kind of knew, how am I going to win it? That you don't go, I can go on the tram or the train, I don't need to come to the theatre. Why won't you walk out on the kind of because of the onslaught? Because of how can I make a whole lot of fucks and cunts seductive? How can I go, how can it be delightful? How can I show them strutting, show an audacity, have a language that you don't dare to express, and I can just pour it out. And so they play with the language in terms of being unable to not speak without swearing, which I have trouble with myself, you might have picked up. And so they play with the notion of, they kind of know it's powerful, of how electrifying it can, how it can get you running, how it can have, you watch your language please from some very proper middle class woman and they've got her exactly where they want her. And so it's not merely by swearing, putting fuck in every time you want to say, oh, fuck you, mate, fuck you. It is a kind of really very, very special art of how one can use an authentic language, but in a sense, make it sing, give it a poetic form, give it a rhyming, even in its clumsy, simple self, that kind of makes the thing delightful, that invites you into that world, but without, and also without kind of belittling anybody, that keeps them strong, that keeps them able to have you on edge all the time. Those women, wherever you are, you fucking looking at me. You fucking looking at all those things. What's with you, cunt? All those things have got us totally anxious. And we're talking about people who have had everything fucking taken. So why wouldn't you absolutely exhaust that power? And why wouldn't you write about it? So, and class is really absent in most of our theatre. It's sort of more on telly and more stuff happening, but it is this huge absence of the voices that have still got something to say, and also I want people who want and have a right to things and a demand for things, and of course you in saying that too, how you deal with the language so it's not didactic or old kind of agitprop. I like a little bit of agitprop myself, but not too much. But you kind of miss out on so much. Sort of people think that it's just about politics, and this is a huge confession. Yes, you can write as a political person. You want to write about the world as you know it and as you see it, and you want to write about it with attack and with great solidarity and all those things. But also, the truth is there's so much drama there that has not been explored. So there is so much stuff there that we don't. You sort of think, are you fools? Write about the very stuff that is right in front of your face. Kind of not everything that are in our, and it doesn't make it unintellectual. It doesn't make it an endeavour that is only earnest, but it is opening up kind of worlds that we don't write about and we don't see on our stages, and why not? Gorgeous appetite for it, and I think there's an appetite out there for it but to use the craft well to be able to do that act of seduction all the time. Exercise 3 is another 10 minutes. And I don't know why I keep giving you 4 characters, but I have. 4 characters, male or female, and each hold a dead chook.
What was that?
Each hold a dead chook.
Each of them is holding a dead chook.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I sort of envisage it by the neck. That seems the most convenient.
So
But it could be by the...
Not wearing it.
No. So what, Chris?
An uncooked chook.
Yeah, an uncooked chook. And it's in their workplace. It's a chook factory. I'm really very knowledgeable about chook factories because I did a bit of research that for a play about people working in a chook factory, and they didn't, funnily enough, want me to come in and see because I didn't set it up. I just went out to a very good chook place. I was a bit surprised, like it was, I won't name the brand, but it's one of those ones that you get a tick because it's not cruel and not blah blah and not fed too much shit. And I went out to wherever it was, and I got turned away, surprise, surprise, and But it just so happened that the workers were having a smoko at the gates, and so I could have talked to them, and they were talking about chooks, and I asked them if they get free chook to go, take home, that would be a benefit. They're thinking maybe I might get thing. And then they went, "Nah, you kidding? We don't touch it. I don't feed my dog to the chook." And so I thought, right, the label blaring in my mind, with all the lies, of course. But so they just talked about oversized chooks that have broken legs before they arrive because they're slaughtered at this factory, and because they're so overfed with hormones, and they can't stand on their poor little spindly legs. And great stories. That I'm not that this is a background for you. So, but really, lies and the kind of jobs that people do, we can kind of forget, and because another job I didn't go to, but my brother, who is a fitter and turner, or was a fitter and turner, I asked him what was the most shit jobs he could imagine. He said that he went to a rendering plant. Now, rendering plant, and when I was a girl, sometimes you would be driven with your father or whatever, your mother, and a truck would go past full of dead meat, and from the slaughter yard or from a butcher, and they're getting rid of it somewhere, and you'd see it. But now, of course, it's all hidden away, but it's taken to a rendering plant, and it's a great sort of factory where all the bits of carcasses of all the animals are put in the. None of you are vegetarian, hopefully. You're not going to have a little. But they go into this, and it's sort of ground into a mass that's finally made into blood and bone and put on your roses or your vegetables. And the jobs there are to go in and take away the crap, because it gets jammed with all the fat. Anyway, my brother said he stopped because he had a job there, and he stopped in the car park, opened the door, and was violently ill because the smell of the plant was so awful. And so those workers work in it and unjam the fat and make jokes about turning the machine on while they're in all sorts of things. But let's go back to the chalk. Holding a dead chalk. And they work at a chicken factory, and the siren sounds at the beginning of your play or your scene for smoko. And then there's a quick discussion before they're called back to work. Do you need any more?
And we can have both male and female in
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, great.
So 10 minutes, 4 characters holding a dead chook at work for chicken factory, siren sounds for smoko, quick discussion before they call back to work. Again, quick, just really interactions, not great big.
Do they have to keep holding the chicken?
No.
Oh, okay. I
They're
thought
on smoko.
Huh?
And
They're
hit
on
each other.
smoko. Yeah, that's what I
Whatever.
was like, yeah, they might.
Yeah. Okay, we're back. So Joshua and Dylan, let's hear from you. Who wants to go first?
I don't mind.
Got your chooks in hand.
This was interesting. About bloody time. Oi, mate, catch. Oh, fuck off. Got any doughs? Baz, you need to get your... I know. How's the missus? Oh, you know she's... Wait, mate, there's a lady present. Oh, fuck off, Tim. Oh, that mouth. Don't you even... Shut your gob. When's Bali? Heading off this weekend. Nah, taking the kids. They'll love... Gonna get your bintang on? What? You know, those cigarettes. As if you'd have one. You got no guns, mate. She got bigger guns than you. Nah, yeah, you bet I do, and I can shove one. Mate, can I grab another smoke? Fuck you. I'll take his shift tomorrow. Yeah, right. As if. Fucking lazy bastard. Fine, deal. Actually, nah. Shaz, what? You want my Friday? Nah, can't. She's got a date. Yeah, right. Actually, she knew it, called it. You're just a bunch of cunts.
Great. Really lively, good fun.
That was fun.
Okay.
Do I have to bring it? You can if you want. It just might be a bit hard to make a tea or a coffee or whatever with this. You kind of get used to it. Yeah, you do. Tuck it under your chin. First day, eh? Yeah. Fuck. It's hard. Yeah, the first one is hard. You might think they're talking to you. Yeah, you might think that they're smiling or something. Yeah. Once it took offered me a golden egg. A fucking golden egg? Yeah, true. Didn't believe him. It's bad. It stinks. It's loud. Yeah, shit. Shit. A bit shit. So, the tea? Over there. Oh, we don't bother. Nah, smells like dead shook. It all does. We all do. Especially him. Oi, you do. You get too close. I think... What do you think? I think they find it like a comfort or whatever. Ha! 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 Fucking hugs them before they go. Fuck me. Shut your mouth. My mouth? Yeah, your fucking mouth. My fucking mouth? That's what I said. Yeah, well, fuck your fucking mouth. It's my mouth. Treat it with respect. They're probably calling it a fucking mouth. Yeah, show some respect, Ted. Yeah, it's not nice. It's his first day.
I just would love if I had a little dramaturgy role and you'd go like, I'd love to hear more about talking to the children. You know, just that kind of playfulness, but it's all that playful stuff with working with dead, and it's great. Well done. I think we've called it a day. I think we've done it. Hope that out there, all the people going for the prize, that you do well, and that some of this has been useful, or a little bit at least. And thanks for staying with us. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we